that's the fill up for today. Hopefully that'll be the only one we need. I don't know where I'm going today. I was going to take it down to John Warrington's down in Yorkshire, down in that Malton, but I don't think I'm going to, because he's got some reasonably important customers turning up that he has to do proper work for, and he doesn't need me down there being a gobby distraction. So I think I might leave him in peace for once, which he's probably going to be quite grateful for. And well, the option then is to head north. I think there's a road I'd like to explore just over the Scottish border. We might go there. I've adjusted a few things on the bike. It's got its comfort seat on now. I've put 2 gel pads under the vinyl on the seat. They look a bit weird because they're quite high up. It's about, well, each pad's 2 centimeters thick, so it's just under a couple of inches of extra padding, and it's a gel pad, so it does stand out, but I don't care. It's giving me the 2 things I was after. Well, hopefully it's giving me the 2 things I was after. It's definitely given me one thing I was after, which is a raised seat height. I found the seat height felt too low, and I don't know if that's just the design of the bike or the fact that the foam over 23 years has actually just squished down and lost any of its give. But it's also hopefully going to improve comfort, which on this bike, even with that old foam, wasn't too bad. Not as bad as some bikes I've had, which were unbearable after 70 miles. I did 150 mile on this the other day, and it was pretty, I'd say it was pretty okay, bearable. I mean, not uncomfortable, but not exactly a flying sofa. So the gel pads are under the seat for comfort and for a raised seat height. We've got 1 box ticked. We're just hoping that after 100 mile or so I can safely tick the other box. We're stuck now in a traffic jam in the middle of Sunderland. Oh, we'll go through the Tyne Tunnel. It's free for motorbikes. Yes, that would be nice. The Tyne Tunnel. Okay, we'll do that. Dude, it's red. It's fucking red. So Tyne Tunnel it is. Hopefully we'll have no more red light jumpers like she was. I think she was thinking to go forward because she'd probably slightly slid on the box while the traffic was getting through on the congestion, and she was out of position. But I had the green. She's going to have to wait. She saw the rest of the cars coming out. She seemed to want to creep forward and then slide in between me and this BMW. That is not happening. I just made her aware that I could see her, and obviously I needed to know that she saw me. She did. I hope she saw the camera on my chin as well. Might make her think a bit more. Of course that works both ways. I don't want to be violating any road traffic acts and having it on camera either, so I best behave myself. I ain't the world's most best behaved motorcyclist or motorist, so there but for the grace of God walk I. So Tyne Tunnel it is. So I can listen to these twin stainless Delcavics in an enclosed space. That's fun. Yeah, the other thing we've changed, apart from the fact I've done the obviously little stuff like putting this USB point on there to power cameras and things and phones when I get my sat-nav mount. The other thing was the gear shift. I've adjusted that feels a little bit more positive under my feet straight away, but whether it actually allows me to do that high speed, you know, high acceleration change from second to third, I don't know. We might find out in this slip road here. We've got behind us a Mercedes here. These mirrors are so good. The best mirrors of any motorcycle I've ever had in my life. I've had a few. I haven't had, I tend to get one and then stick with it, and I know that people know that I've had 2 Hondas in the last year. Well, that's alright. Those Hondas were just a segue, if you like, into getting back into decent sized big bikes. The first Honda was the Honda I got off a friend who ran his own. Are you going to let him in at Citroen, or are you just going to sit in his rear quarter there? The first Honda I had was a one I got from a friend who ran Newcastle Rider Training, Mr. Neil Wolfenden, possibly the finest road rider I've ever met. And he had to shut his company down because the land it was on was being sold from underneath him, and he needed stuff emptied out quick. And one of the things that was in there was a rather forlorn and forgotten CBF 500. Put the screen up, gives a bit of peace. It's a little bit more noisy today than it has been. Okay, not to worry. Oh, there's that 6th gear again that doesn't exist that I was going for. Anyway, so Neil had the CBF 500. It was one of these direct access learner bikes sitting in the corner, and it had broken down at some point and had been slowly cannibalized for parts. As the first to break down and be pushed in a corner, it was obviously, when the others broke down, it was, oh, we'll just pull a bit off that one that's already broken down. And that's what happened to it. They started to pull bits off it. So by the time I got it, it had no front end, no radiator, no starter motor, no exhaust, and a few other things. So anyway, I spent some time restoring it back to its former glory, and I'd only had it running for a few months on the road. Bearing in mind I'd been away from motorcycles since about 2017, which I think was the last time I rode, which was my Hayabusa. I put it back on the road, got back into the swing of things with that. Then a friend invited me over to visit him in Ireland, in Southern Ireland, and I realised pretty quickly that the CBF 500 wasn't really going to allow me to do that with any kind of comfort or efficiency. So I hit upon getting rid of it for something along the lines of, well, I'd narrowed it down to 3 motorcycles, and those motorcycles were Yamaha FJR1300, a Yamaha FJR1300, or a Honda VFR750 or VFR800. Class those two as the same kind of bike, because they pretty much are. Anyway, it just turned out that this guy wanted to swap his VFR for my CBF, straight swap. So of course, there was a VFR 800. I snapped his arm off, whisked away with a VFR, did a little bit of scoping out on it, realised there was a few issues to deal with on that as well. Had the wrong chain and sprockets on, was too low geared. This is only after I found out, after taking it to Ireland, because I got it literally days before I was due to go to Ireland, so I really didn't have time to do much to it. The tyres were 13 years old, I think. I think one was 2011 and one was 2012, so 13, 14 years old. I dragged those to Ireland as well. They went around Ireland on those Lego tyres, and it got me down there. It was under gear because it was a tooth down on the front, and it got me there, it got me back. It was alright. It was incredibly painful to ride on the backside. So then the search continued when I got back for a Phaser 1000 or an FJR 1300, because I wanted something that was competent, comfortable, and I could tour on and still have a bit of fun on. The furthest extreme one of that, the more towards comfort ideology, if you like, was the FJR 1300. That's more comfort than sport, but it's certainly more sport than a Transalp. The more sport than comfort would have been the Phaser 1000. Picking either of them up was an absolute nightmare. Prices of VFR 800s, for some reason the 5th gen VFR 800 seems to be worth less and is in less demand than the 4th gen VFR 750 and the 3rd gen VFR 750. They still seem to command better prices than the first of the fuel injected VFRs. I don't know why. Anyway, that was just the way it was. But again, I managed to source an FJR 1300, and here we are at the Tyne Tunnel, an FJR 1300 down in Wales, who was willing to swap for my VFR 800. And he wanted to swap because I don't think he'd been riding too long. The VFR was a little bit too heavy, the FJR was a little bit too heavy for him, so the VFR seemed to be a perfect thing. So then I rolled down to Wales, South Wales, 340 mile each way, and picked up this thing that I'm sitting on now. And I picked it up, never having owned a FJR before, not knowing too much about them, other than they are, you know, probably the sportiest of these big touring bikes, and which would suit me better than the Kawasaki or the Honda Pan-European. So I was keen to get it, and perhaps I didn't look into it too closely, and it turned out to be, as I said in another video, the curate's egg. It was good in parts, it needs some issues sorting out. So hopefully a few of those issues have been sorted out. The gear cheam seems to be a little bit sweeter, although we haven't really found out just yet how, if the problem's been done away with my adjustment of the gear linkage. The seat seems to be a bit comfier. My sitting position's a teeny bit higher. The rest of the bike has got a few little nicks and knocks and bangs, but it seems to be overall reliable. The front brake light switch was inoperative, so I put one of those on. It's now got a front brake light switch, works, so you can get the rear brake light on. And the clutch cutout to start it when it's in gear doesn't work. The side stand cutout, so you can't pull away with it and engage first gear and pull away with it, doesn't work. So there's two things. So it can be started in gear and roll forward, and it can be rode forward with the side stand down. So two safety nets basically have been removed. I don't know if I can get those working again. I would like to have them working because I don't want to drop this pig. I dropped the VFR and that was heavy enough to pick up. This thing would be an absolute nightmare. It's heavier than my Hayabusa by a considerable amount, fully fueled up. A wet weight is just under 300 kilograms. I mean, you know, you're asking to lift up over a quarter of a ton if you drop it. Now, I'm not the world's weakest bloke, but I'm certainly not anywhere near lifting over a quarter of a ton off the deck. So you've got to be careful with it. No more smash panniers. It has been nicked. Checks show on the insurance that it has been nicked, or certainly insurance has been claimed against it, and it was written off in 2007, 2008. It has a new ignition barrel on it. It's got a damaged and badly painted right hand side fairing. It's got an aftermarket screen, which is, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's good or bad. I've never experienced the original, so I don't know if it's given me more protection or just causing more turbulence. I don't know. It's got bar risers. Again, I haven't experienced the standard ones, so I don't know if it's an improvement over stock. I'm going with it. I'm happy with them. They're not uncomfortable for me to use, so I'm not going to change them. There's no impetus to change them. And yeah, generally it's a raggy old thing that needs new tyres. It's not turning in very well. It's the back end squared off, so it wants to sit up in a corner until it reaches that tip over point on the squared off section of tyre. Then it'll drop into the corner. But yeah, it's only going to be on another month, these tyres. I might as well burn them off, getting used to the bike. And then John Warrington put some Michelin pilots on it, which I like and he likes. And if he likes them, they're good enough for me. I wonder if that's, yeah, that is so weird, that fairing. When you put it up that high, it pulls your head down. It's like a hand on the back of your crash helmet shoving your crash helmet forward into the clocks. creates like a negative pressure area behind the screen in this area here and pulls your head in. So you've got this kind of like area that's kind of pulling you in like that. It's really weird. It's a little bit too weird for me, to be honest with you. I'll have it down a bit. I kind of figured out that the screen, ideally for me, is this area here. If I can have a little gap between there and there, from my point of view, the screen works really well. But, let him out, give him a flash. But, this area here obscures the vision where it turns. There's a little bit of a reflection there. And it kind of just hinders my ability to see what's directly on the road. You know, at low speed, you've got a pothole coming up you haven't seen. That's about the area you would pick it up. And that's about the area, the last point of the area you would pick it up at before it's too late to take avoiding action. You know, these kind of speeds, if you saw it at that point, you'd be way too late anyway. But you know what I mean? You're riding down a rough, bumpy country road and you want to know where the potholes and the hard bricks are and things like that. And that bit just really annoys me, so you kind of have to pull it down a bit at low speed rides. But it's, other than that, I'm quite liking it, and the fact, of course, the fifth gear is too low. Should have had a much higher final ratio on this, make all the gears a bit better. But there is nothing you can do about that. As far as I'm aware, there's no mods from other Yamahas that can be done or transposed across to this to give it better gearing. The one thing I thought would have been nice to have on this Yamaha, which I have had on Yamahas previously, is self-cancelling indicators. They don't self-cancel. I had a Yamaha X-Up, an FJR1300 X-Up, back in the 1990s with really, really useful, practical self-cancelling indicators. Now I've had bikes since then that don't have self-cancelling indicators, but again, the dash layout of this, a lot of the time the sun's behind me, as it is now, and if my shadow is not over those indicator lights, it's a struggle to see if they're actually flashing or not once you've set them up. I do it now, because I'm about to move into the right-hand lane, in lane 2, you can see it flashing there. But if the sun's on there, you can't see it, and it's easy to forget you've left them on, so let's just move that there a bit. That's a bit better. Tipping up a bit, maybe get some speed so I can grab it and not slow down too much. Too high. That's fine, that's lovely jubbly. That one's possibly a little bit too low. Just a little bit. Gear change, don't know if it's a psychological thing because I know I've adjusted it, just feels a little bit better than it did yesterday. I'm going to jump into this lane because I want crumbling, I think. Okay, 189 north. Do I want crumbling? Oh, this is a poxy place, this. I hate this junction. I bet it goes into 2 lanes down there and I've come out of that lane. Yes, it does. Oh, son of a gun. I've not got to swear today. I haven't got to use bad language. I haven't got to speed. If I do speed, I haven't got to say how fast I'm going, because then I have to edit out of a YouTube video. 189 north. I want the A1. A1, A19. Let's do A1, A19. Yeah, okay, fine, got it. A1. No diesel on this corner. That's a surprise. Already in top, god damn it. Yeah, so, right, no swearing, no speeding, no shouting out how fast I'm going. And saying things like, whoa, that gets up to 120 really quickly. Because then I just have to spend 10 minutes editing out the video. I mean, obviously these clocks here aren't very accurate anyway. So, you know, it says I'm doing 70 there. I'm probably doing about 65. Just drop in behind this Porsche. Have a nice easy day, but weather's glorious for April in northeast England. All my American pals from a certain website, motorcycling website, I hasten to add, nothing more sinister than that. From a certain website, we'll be saying, oh looky, it's always raining where you live. It's always raining and you've got no guns and you've got bad teeth. How do you protect yourself and eat food? Well, look, yeah, we don't have guns, kinda. And it's debatable whether our teeth are worse than yours, so shut up. But we do often get decent weather. And the good thing about living in the northeast of England is actually we get lower than average UK rainfall here. So it tends to be a drier part. I used to deliver across to Manchester from Newcastle way. And you could guarantee when you cross across the spine of England on the M62 motorway, which runs from Leeds to Manchester, Liverpool, you could guarantee it's the highest motorway in the UK, which isn't saying much. You know, you've got skyscrapers in America that are higher than our highest mountain, and you cross over that, you get onto a place where the motorway splits in two, and there's a farm in between the two lanes. Quite a famous thing. There's a farm on the motorway, as it were. That is at a place called Saddleworth Moor, and I could pretty much guarantee you, even if we drove down there today, okay, it might not be raining, but the weather would change as you got to that point and dropped down the side of that moor into Manchester, because you get all of the rough weather coming in off the Atlantic and the Irish Sea, and it just dumps on Manchester and Liverpool. They're always raining there. You know, this would be so depressing. I mean, the people who live there, Mancunians and Liverpudlians, especially Liverpudlians, are excellent people for the most part when they're not shooting each other. How can they shoot each other? We haven't got guns in this country. They just do. They get them from America illegally, and then, you know, I don't know where they get guns from. What do I look like, a bloody violent criminal? I don't know. Anyway, the weather across that side of the country is worse than the weather on this side of the country, because, as I say, it comes in off the Atlantic, it comes in off Ireland, off the Irish Sea, and it just dumps on the first bit of land it reaches, which is Liverpool and Manchester areas. So they're always wetter than this side. This side we tend to not have too much of a rainfall issue. So yeah, so we do get good weather now and again. Not as often as I like, so when it does come, I'm going to take full advantage of it. Somebody else taking advantage of the good weather there, with the roof down. That's cool. It's about 14 degrees today, so it's not unpleasant. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. I just pull in here and make sure that this camera is recording. I do not trust GoPros as far as I can throw them. This often switches itself off for no reason. So we'll just give it a quick check. Let's just make sure everything's hunky-dory before moving on, because I don't want to get... I'd rather check it when we're in this crappy part of the country, i.e. the A1M northbound. It's hardly spectacular roads, so we might as well make sure everything's working before we get into the really nice stuff up Northumberland way. Yes, it is. What a good little GoPro you are. Get back to my pocket phone. There you go. I'm trying to fasten the buckle on my neck, on my collar, and it seems to have doubled itself over right at the end, so it's not fitting through the buckle. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Ah, I don't believe it, it's twisted. So annoying. Let's try it again while you enjoy views of the sky, of those Simpson-esque clouds. Lovely. One Knox on. I do like these gloves. Knox Handroid Mark 5s. They're very good. Kill switch off. Kill switch on. Kill switch off. Okay. I wonder if we can get that second gear working here. I need the acceleration coming out of here. Let's give it a try. Nope. Nope, it's not doing it. There you go, there's third. That's so... Whoa. Third's not doing it either. Oh God. Right, okay, so the very next thing I'll be doing is adjusting the... Oh, it's not even doing it in fourth now. I've really upset it. Yeah, I'll be... there we go, that's better. I'll be adjusting that soon enough. Next parking bay. It's out with a 10mm spanner. Yeah, it's actually worse than yesterday. It was only doing it in second gear, now it's doing it in third and fourth as well. So I've obviously gone the wrong way on the adjustment. John told me which way to go, and I've obviously got it back to front and done the wrong way. Not to worry, it's easy sorted. Easy peasy, Japanesey. Parking bay's there? No, we'll squish past him. One little way on. Dropping behind the Volvo. There it is. dear, it's not a good looking, not a good look, is it? Right, ignition off, don't want to be stuck here with a flat battery. Got to take the key out anyway to open the back box, the top box. Right, let's have a look in the bag of wonderment. Let's have a look at his car actually. There's nobody in it. Oh yeah, that is done and dusted, that tyre. Right, okay, back to the issue at hand. Let's look in the bag of wonderment here. Can I do this with one glove on? No. Size 10. Righty tighty. Let's get you out there. How can we get you out there like that? Now, if I remember rightly, you are the left-handed one. Are you? Are you a size 10? Get out the way, you. Yes. Just needs pulling up. Are you loose? Yes, you are. Okay, so which way are we going to go? We're going to go that way. A little bit more. Let's try that way. Let's try that. And the bottom one. Okay, we'll give that a shot, see how we get on. Hopefully that will improve it. Seal up the bag of wonderment. Pannier closed. Pannier. Top box. Pudding. Learn your luggage. Obligatory dirty hand from working on bike. Check. Is it oil? Yes. Good. Put dirty hand back in new glove. Carry on accordingly. Alright, well, we get another opportunity to see how bad these gear adjustments are when I leave this place. Let's hope there's big improvement on that. Double check we're closed there. Yamaha. Always sniffing this time of year. I have a constantly runny nose. It's not pleasant. It certainly can't be pleasant to listen to. Okay, so oh my god, that is high. Yeah, that's a lot higher. Aha! That might work. That may have done the trick. John once again was right. I've adjusted it the wrong way. I mean, it wasn't exactly posing it there, but it just felt more positive. Once I get used to the repositioned lever, it should be better. Let's put the screen back up so I can actually hear myself think. Kind of like there, I think. hopefully I've got that issue covered. I can now start worrying about the brakes and the clutch. Seems to have quite a strong clutch. The brakes, I think, at the front end at least, back brake's really good, even though it's got a badly fitted rear disc. Front brake just feels a little bit wooden. Really does feel like it's got a sticky piston on it, and I'm just not getting, you know, I have to put more effort into it, and the bar's not moving as much. The lever's not moving as much. A lot of force going in there, but something for the near future. A Whizzy Whiz rally car on the back of there, Scooby-Doo. Somebody off on the jollies. Nice caravan outfit there as well. I hope the Range Rovers will have enough to get them where they want to go. I can't remember that. Do I have to pay to go into a National Trust property if I'm a member of the National Trust? Do you still have to pay? Or is it like a reduced entrance fee, or is it once you've paid it's free in? I can't remember. I'm sure it's free in. I'm going to go to Cragside Hall in Rothbury, and I'm going to ask at the gate, and then I'm going to drive through Cragside Hall, drive around the grounds, and continue on my way. Because I think that would be nice on a day like today to see Cragside Hall. We'll not go inside, but to be outside is good. It's a very pretty place. Home of Lord Armstrong, the industrialist and armaments manufacturer and philanthropist. Pretty amazing house actually. It's beautiful to look at, but it's very clever inside as well. First house in England, maybe in the world, to run on hydroelectricity. We're going to drop in behind the BMW here because we're taking this turn off. Something in my eye. It's my finger. That's better. There with the bike. I guess they just stopped for a pee. They're not with the bike, so probably hasn't broken down. Oh, how many miles have we done? 28 miles. Bum is unaffected. You'd not expect it to be after 28 miles, would you? I think this Audi's just started up. It's pouring water out of its exhaust and probably still a bit cold in there. Yeah. Looks like he's just jumped in it. This gear change is a lot better. I'm much happier with it. It's that time of year we start to see all the little grotto boxes making an appearance on the roads. People wending their way onto a caravan site somewhere across the UK. I don't mind caravans. I don't mind caravan drivers. So people who tow caravans behind the cars, I don't mind them. Seem to be reasonably decent people, decent drivers. I have one myself. Let's deal with this Audi. Burning fires, smell of wood smoke. That's a good pub, that, the Shoulder of Mutton. They do nice food there. Well, they did. It's Mercenaries think they'd still doing, still do it. I mean, you know. Oh, clutchless up changes are lovely now. They really are nice. It's as good as the Hayabusa, which has got a great gearbox. So, happy with that. And we're into fifth. Are we into fifth? Yeah, I think we are. think we will go to Rockbury this way. Or will we? Maybe not, actually. Maybe we'll keep going this way. Seems to be all traffic's going that way. No, so if they're going that way, we'll go this way. Why not? Now those bumps I've just gone over there, I know for a fact, I've gone over there before in the VFR and expressed pain as I've hit the bumps, you know, that kind of, ooh, as it whacks you in the backside as you go over, and the suspension compressors and the seat compressors and your butt compressors. Over there on the FJRs, nowhere near as bad. Yeah, I still felt them. Not bad. Oh, we'll get rid of this guy before we get into the next village, which is just around this corner. Done and done. Sunderland Framlington now, Long Framlington, not Long Framlington. That's not me, I was doing 30, he came in behind me doing 37. The Golf's actually arrived on my back end quite quickly. It's a bit of a worry. Got a rocker on that right hand, left hand turning there, but we're going to go straight on. Two old dudes give me the eyeball there. Don't know what I've done to them. Would have been nice to make that corner in front of that Suzuki, but no real need. No need to rush today. a leg of deodorant now and roll on in 5th. It is 5th, isn't it? Yeah, it's 5th. Ugh. Get round this corner, turn left and head up the hill, and as we go over the tops it should open up to a nice view of the Side Hills. Nestling in the valley before that is the town of Rothbury. And that's a town I am particularly fond of, inordinately so, because that town is actually the place of my birth. I'm going to change the heated grips on this. I'm getting sick of these. They've been put on wrong. The wires are actually in the way of your fingers when you're operating the switches, your thumbs, you know, when you come put the indicator on. I've got to physically look, well, certainly not physically look, but I've got to make an active attempt to raise my thumb like that and lift it over, and putting it down like that. That's the only way I can kind of pull them back a bit more, maybe. Same on the throttle side as well. They obscure the switch gear, which is not helpful. There's the Side Hills ahead of us. Wonderful. Quite a busy day on these roads today. Not normally this much traffic. Good weather fetching them out, I guess, on a Friday afternoon. It's fair dues. Entirely use the road as much as I am. We'll nip past. Down into Cragside now. This is a National Trust property. It's actually classed as one of the jewels in their crown, and you can see why. It's all landscape gardens from a couple of hundred years ago. Cragside. Members. Well, I'm a member. In more than one sense of the word. Look at that, isn't that lovely? That's his old house, I believe, that one over there, where he lived while he was having the hall built. As I understand it. I do work in here with my company. See what we've got here. Visor up, wallet out. You'll be wanting my National Trust membership, don't you? Well, that was nice. And this is nice too. This is Cragside Hall. I hope you like it. I hope I catch enough of it on camera to be an impression on you. There's the modern version of the I guess an artesian well kind of setup. It's this area here is where you power the house from. We had a hydroelectric dam there. Oh, up here is the car park, and we'll do the car park's up there. You can go up that way to the house, the little house. Down there was the Christmas walk. They had it all lit up with lights in there. It was really beautiful. And up here is my tree, my gosh darn tree. I'll go through the carriage drive. Let's have a look. This tree up here, not this one here, there's another one which is further up. There she is. There's my Christmas tree. That's the Christmas tree that was 43 meters of Christmas tree lights. We had nearly a mile of lights on it, and we had generators underneath powering it. I say we, I just put the lights up. Chris and Andy and the lads did all the other hard work. And this is where I have to park my truck here. So I park a 51 meter truck here. Oh, that's fine. Drive it up here, park it here. I have to have it squished right into this side. So it has to literally come here because it has legs that come out on either side about 7 foot. So I have to get as much across here. Obviously when it's over here I can't get the legs out on this side, so they're called narrow jack. They just sit in this spot here. Then with the truck ending here, we've got the legs out and they come over to about here. So you can't put the truck on there, you can't put the legs on there. They've got to support 18 ton. So we have to put woods down, we have to put boards down and what have you. And then we set up here. Let this guy past. Switch my lights off. We set up here, and then I left two guys up, Chris and Andy, two excellent chaps, up to the top of that Christmas tree. And then we drip lights all the way down, all the way around. They have to be fastened on, and that has to be done a good few weeks before Christmas, for obviously the start of the Christmas celebrations. And then in here it's all fenced off, and they have two generators in the back. Well, they're like huge power plants, power packs. That's the word I'm looking for, power packs. And they switch them on at night time, and the whole tree lights up. And that's the deal. That's what normally happens. However, just after we put them up, there was a huge storm, and it broke all the lights. So I had to come up again and fix them, help fix them. And then we fixed them. And then they broke again before Christmas, so we fixed them again. And Chris had said, if it happens again, we're not going to bother with them. We're just going to leave them. But it didn't, and they held on over Christmas, and we just took them down in early March. Early March, yeah. Now behind it, you can see Cragside House, which is absolutely beautiful. And on a day like today, wow, it doesn't get better than that. I'd like to take you inside, but I'm not going out today. We've got other places to be. So we'll have a drive around the carriage drive on this old bird. Again, I'm just checking to see if my camera is running. After all that footage at the gate, it probably isn't. Have we got it? Is it still on? Yay! It is so well behaved today. I'll probably jinxed it now. Yeah, nearly. Oh, I can't get it back in my bloody pocket. I probably switched it off. No. Okay. Trials and tribulations of recording footage. Can you imagine the hassle that cameramen go through, cameramen and camerawomen, making all these documentaries for things like David Attenborough and things like that? Well, actually, strangely enough, we had the One Show come here and do some footage with the lovely Lucy, who's fabulous. She came up and they did a set, and they were here all day, and yeah, just for like 5 minutes of footage. They were here for like the full day, and you think, well, for 5 minutes spot on primetime TV, it's a bit extreme. A lot of work goes into this stuff. Okay, let's sully the piece with this FJR of mine, and we're not going to do that just yet because, believe it or not, my jacket is open where my wallet is, so I want to zip that bugger up. Quicker I get a tank bag for this bike, the better, to be honest with you. A lot easier than farting around like this. Okay. Right, thank you for your patience. Let's have a little bit of a wander along the carriage drive. Keep the black visor down, keep the sun out. Now we do sometimes do work on the hall as well, on Cragside house here, and it's called Cragside because it's actually built into the crag there. That's the bank there, and we do work on the other side in the courtyard, but I can't come through this way in my truck because it doesn't fit through this archway. There's a little restaurant here, so I have to drive it in from a different point and drive it up an incredibly narrow track, and we park it here and we do work. I'm not going to park. This is where the bus parks. I'm going to just swing it around, and that's where I was working, up here on that side there. There were stonemasons putting in cement, and on the roof we were checking the lead, we checked the chimneys. Chimneys are fantastic, they've got all sorts of carvings on them, and not all of them are real, some of them are false. But inside, if we did go inside there, it's an incredible fireplace. It's a monstrous thing, white marble all carved, and it's wonderful. So that's Cragside for you. I hope it's coming on the camera as I'm seeing it. We'll do a little loop. And I had to chop this ivy down here. All this ivy here was all cut back and down the side, and we had the truck parked there, and we were doing all of that as well. So we've done quite a lot of work on the front of this house. Anyway, we'll disappear off on our little carriage drive, and that rockery that you're not supposed to climb on, my children immediately got out and climbed on. Ugh, I brought them here. And that road there where those white cars are is the road I have to bring the truck in when we work on this side, and it's incredibly narrow. It's as narrow as this, and I bring a 7.5 foot wide truck, 18 tons, nearly 4 meters high, up here. Well, not here, but up an equivalently narrow path further down in the gully there. But this is a lovely place. If you ever get the chance to come here, you should. There's some great stuff inside as well. So the grounds themselves are absolutely stunning. All of this is, I don't know how many acres it is. I'd be lying if I said a figure, but it's big. And you can spend all day walking around it. Literally can spend all day walking around it. There are miles and miles and miles of footpaths and little hikes. And a lot of the forest, a lot of the grounds have actually been, what's the word I'm looking for? Landscaped, as it were. Yeah, landscaped. And they must have had some amazing forethought to do it the way they've done it, because while he was alive and while the landscape was alive, they would never see the place like this now. But it fits so beautifully. All the trees and everything seem to be like they've been here forever, and they haven't. You know, most of them were planted like, you know, I don't know, maybe 200 years ago, 150 years ago, and the guys who planted them knew they'd never ever see the results of what they've done. But we do, thanks to their fantastic foresight. I love it. And there's Rothbury through the trees. That's the village or the town I was born in. One other day I'll take you inside the house. But honestly, if you get the chance to come and visit Northumberland, you have to come to Cragside House. It is stunning. It's not just a pretty place, it was created by a pretty amazing guy. Yeah, it was okay, you could see he sold arms and, you know, profited from war. We did other things too. And some of the innovations inside the house are incredible. And people visited. It was like people visited from all over the world, not just all over the world people, but I mean, like, you know, people of importance, people of great wealth and of great political standing, you know, kings and queens and presidents and prime ministers from all over the place came and stayed there. And you can look at the rooms they stayed in and the beds they slept in and the places where they ate, and you can see where the kitchens downstairs, they're amazing, and the baths, there's a spa and kind of a saunery thing underneath below the kitchens, and the kitchens, all the spits and things, you know, the rotisseries and everything are all powered from water power, and you can see the mechanism working below the floor because they put like a little glass hatches over so you can see the mechanism working. This, I believe, is Dunkirk, and this is where we did some tree felling. We did some tree felling here. I had to get the truck set up here, so I'm going to go in here and have a quick look. Let's get closer to that and have a look at that. I would get off the bike, but I can't be bothered. So there's the house. We've gone along that road there, and we're there. We've got all the way around there to go. And they've got all of this forested area. They've got a fantastic labyrinth and a great children's play area as well. And they've got a couple of, or at least one kind of cafeteria that sells coffees and sandwiches and things like that. We'll have a little loop around here, because I came in the wrong way, I'm sure of it. I think it's supposed to come in the other way. So again, we've done work on all of these trees here in this area. Isn't that wonderful? Not quite as big as the redwoods that I've experienced in Oregon in 2014 and 2016, but still impressive enough. I believe in the storms over winter, Cragside National Trust lost over 150 trees to storm damage. That's quite a lot, but I mean, as a percentage of what's in the actual grounds, maybe it isn't that much, I don't know, but I'm sure there must have been some quite important trees. Again, little footpaths like that just go off and through the rocks, and all of that wasn't by accident. That was always like they were almost cut there and made to be interesting and wonderful and places to intrigue and be worth exploring, you know, for children and adults. The people who designed it, you know, they really did put some effort into it. You see all these rocks here, you think, wow, they're fantastic, and then they think, well, how can we use those in a kind of like a trail and build a little pathway through them? Not just avoid them and say, oh, well, there's too many rocks here, we'll go that way. They actually cut through some of them and said, this would be really great if we can cut through here and make a path. What's not fun is bringing the truck along here, because again, I have to come along this road as well too. To do work, so yeah, got to make sure you don't catch the edges of the truck, and my boss will be incredibly miffed with me. This bit here is really narrow. That's an absolute pain to get the truck through. There's one of the trees that's had some work done to it. A river Coquet down there in the valley. Sparkling away, bonny little river. Cragside, there's a car park up there. We should have explored it, shouldn't we? A little bit more for you to see. Sadly, I wasn't thinking straight when I rode past it. Lovely farm down there. A more sporty bike, I'd be an absolute agony now because all that weight would be on my wrists. On this old fella, not half bad, quite comfortable. I should really know more about Cragside Hall. I've been here plenty of times. I should know more about its history. Obviously haven't been paying that much attention. Too overawed by the beauty. Look at that there, it's lovely. There's a place up here you can park up and sit on the rocks that overlook that stream. I seem to remember doing it at some point in the distant past. Through the silver birch now. Never done any work up at Blackburn. Work at Dunkirk and work on the main house and work on the houses further on, but never Blackburn. I never had the truck this far up. Cars, yes. Motorbike, yes, obviously. Not the truck. This is one of the ponds they've got here. They've drained it out. It used to be a kind of one of the lake things. They've completely drained it. It's been drained for many, many years now, I think. I forget why they drained it. Chris did tell me. That's a boathouse, Blackburn boathouse, for a little pond that doesn't exist anymore. I think we're probably about maybe halfway to 2/3 of the way around now. And this drive is called Carriage Drive, and I believe it was put in simply to give people access to the estate, but also to allow visitors to drive around in a carriage and do little kind of tours around the estate, which I think is really cool. They just didn't leave it like, you know, the odd path. They put a full looped carriageway all the way around, so Lord Armstrong's visitors and guests could take a carriage trip around rather than walk, and reach any point they wanted quite quickly on the loop and set up a picnic or, I don't know, other stuff. Tyres picking up stones and flicking them into the fair, and I'm getting this kind of bunk every now and again. This is nice because it's too cool for bugs. Just bunk, bunk, just about the right temperature for me, and a bit of heat coming off the bike to keep my feet warm. These FJRs have got a reputation for cooking your feet in hot weather apparently, and I am feeling a little bit of heat through my boots, but not much, enough to make it comfortable. They're the rocks that we sit on over there, that area there, and those areas there. You can have your picnics up in there. Some people there having picnics. Isn't that wonderful to come around the corner out of the trees to that on a day like today? Don't want to fall off the edge of here. Stop on the bridge and have a little view of the lake. Look at that. Perfect. Carriage Drive, Labyrinth, picnic area, woodland car parks, waymarked toilets, Croziers play area. We are going that way. Watch out for toads. Hypno toads. No, just normal toads. There's lots of frogs. One time myself and the children went into the labyrinth, which is on our left here. It's all this behind all this hedge. It's monstrously big, and you can genuinely get lost in it because it's not like a normal labyrinth. It is really kind of intricate, and it's not well pruned in a way you know you go over and there's right angle corners and everything's uniform and what have you. It's absolutely crazy. So we went in there and it was kind of a little bit damp and gloomy in parts, and I looked down and there's all these little black beetles all over the floor moving under our feet. Loads of these little black beetles, and they were, on closer inspection, they were tiny little, they'd just obviously gone from being tadpoles to tiny little weeny frogs, and they were all over the path. And sadly, although I'd like to tell myself I didn't stand on any, sadly we probably stood on a few. Nellie's Moss, please keep your dog on a lead. Yeah, that's the entrance to the labyrinth up at Nellie's Moss. There's one of the entrances anyway. More toads. You just come out there and you can sit there, watch the Canada geese. I think it's possibly the first time I pressed that horn. I trust that the GoPro is still working and I'm still getting all this footage. It's a gamble as to whether it actually does it or not. And I have to say it's heartbreaking when you record stuff, and I don't do this for anybody else but myself. I'm not expecting to be any like kind of YouTube guy or anything like that. I don't think I've got the personality for it, or the conversational skills, or the charm and engagement that a lot of these YouTube guys have. But you know, I like my children to see them, and my friends in America who, you know, Canada. I like my friends to see them, you know, and experience where they obviously can't get here, or they probably choose not to come here. But it's nice to show them these things, and it's upsetting when you have a beautiful day like today, and you go to this effort to kind of like capture it all for them, and then it doesn't exist because the camera's failed in some way. Lots of clearances here. I suspect that wasn't due to the or certainly not this little area here, because that looks like it's you know, the wood's grey and silver, and it looks like it's been felled quite a while ago. Snail will tell you. My mate Paul Starkweather, he'll tell you. But anyway, in my untrained eye, I don't think that's been done too recently. But they have lost a lot of trees. Them over there. Just conscious of keeping our speed down around here. It's a one-way system, of course, but you still can come across people walking against the flow of traffic, as they're quite rightfully are allowed to do. Now it rang with a bit of a bimble. Oh, these things, yes, lovely. I thought we might have seen Chris and Andy and Davey and Heather and all them kicking around today doing workout, but it's not the only site they work on. I think they do visit other places, and this is not the only part of it. There's another place which is the kind of coach part, which is across the lake that way on. Where we came in, it's like an overspill car park, I guess, and a coach turning area as well. Still visit it, you know. It's worth having a look at. This person letting us past, it's very kind of them. And people do live in these National Trust properties. There's somebody who even lives in the house. Paul, I mentioned him at the gate. There's one living in there. Paul lives in the, oh my goodness, Paul lives in that house, in the main Cragside house. He has a little apartment inside. That guy's stopped to let me past it. I'm admiring with you now, and I've just undone all these for hard work. Canada geese there. As my Canadians friends call them, geese. My American pals probably call them freedom geese. Let's crack on. We're nearly out now. Imagine waking up with this every morning, living in that big house and having all of this under your charge and your care. And this were the estate workers that had all the houses scattered around, with a lot of them here. And people do live in them now. From that weather vane up there on the house behind us, which we passed now, you can't see. Oh, Lanny, Series 2. And we've got to take the exit. And back to where we came in. Past the hydro dam. Beautiful walk through there. It's just an all-round excellent place to come to. Thank you for visiting Cragside, it says. Well, thanks for having me. Short and sweet. I'm back on the road to Rothbury. Making sure my zip's up on my pocket. Yes, I think it is, yeah. Somebody on one of the Yamaha FJR Facebook groups, I said, you know, I wasn't happy about the gear change and struggling to change up, and I like to do clutches changes up and down. And somebody said, oh, do you ride MX? Well, no, I just, you know, there's a clutches change down, there's another one, and a clutches change up. It's actually quite a nice gearbox for that. Most of my gear changes are clutchless, but another one. It's a really nice box. Now that it's adjusted correctly, I think it's adjusted correctly. It's actually a really nice box to use. I wonder what it's like to have one of these third generation FJRs with the is it kind of like a kind of sequentially, kind of digitally, kind of DSG kind of box where you just press a button and it changes up, and press a button and it changes down? Or is it fully automatic or semi-automatic? I don't know. But anyway, hey, Fiesta, stop there. Oh, you're not, you're coming out, aren't you? Good girl. It's not a Fiesta, it's a Kia. Well spotted, you. And here we are in Rothbury. I'm too busy looking at that Kia to actually have a look at the bungalows on the other side, which are really, really pretty. And pots and paws. Lots of motorcyclists come through here. You can get a good ice cream, something to eat, a cup of coffee, pub if you want to do that kind of thing. Good butchers there. Stop there, Skoda. Good, good, good. Everybody's on the ball today. Even me, stopping at a zebra crossing. Turk's Head. That's actually a bit of a rough pub from what I remember. Still, pint's a pint. Here's the hospital where I was born. Up on our left here. You see it in there? Coquetdale Apartments it is now. I was born in there. Or was it there? Rothbury House. You'd think I'd know, wouldn't you? Aye, one of the two. One of the two. Hosted the birth of the bonniest little lad in Northumberland. Born in the summer of love. There's a Simon Side Hills up the side there. A lovely place to go. We're cracking on a bit now with these roads. Clip of the version, kicking up a bit of dust, wasn't he? Those people in the car up ahead are smoking because I can smell it. That's the thing on a motorcycle. What do they say about travelling in a car versus travelling in a motorcycle? When you're sitting in a car, driving along, looking at that big screen, it's like watching a movie. But when you're riding a motorcycle, It's like being in one. I think it's a pretty cool thing. It's quite true. You're certainly more involved with your surroundings on a motorcycle. You have to be. I mean, you know, you're open to the elements. Shell garage there, hi. I've filled the truck up there 1 or 2 times. We don't need it today though, because I've used 1/4 of a tank of fuel, if that, 1/8 of a tank I think. So, goody good FJR, you're certainly economical enough for a big old bus that you are. 1300cc, short of a top gear. You don't seem to use that much fuel. But I've hardly ragged you though. I guess these kind of bikes, even though they're kind of like deemed to be a sports tourer, I guess they don't actually, I guess they don't get too much hammer. This lardy old thing's classed as a sports tourer. Can you imagine what a pan-European's like? Or one of those Kawasaki, what are they, GTR things with a detuned ZZR14 motor in them? They must be like absolute boats. I think this is the perfect balance from what I've experienced so far, but with its knackered tyres and slightly questionable brakes. I think this is the perfect balance between a tourer and a sports tourer, kind of, you know, kind of touring and a bit of fun, a little bit of fun in the twisties. Speaking of fun in the twisties, and BMW Rada, we no doubt having fun. So yeah, I think it's quite a nice bike. As you can see, I've hardly thrown the thing around. I just cruised around on it all day, but it feels very comfortable. And I have to say, despite its little knocks and bangs and things that need fixing and sorting out, I think I'm falling in love with this bike. I think it's excellent. It's very comfortable, and it's got grunt. And even with questionable consumables on board, it's handling okay. For what I've asked of it, I haven't exactly dragged the footrest around any corners or anything like that, you know, set it up for a few high-speed bends. That's not happened. So, face full of dust now. So yeah, for what I've used it for in the last 200 miles that I've ridden it, perfectly fine. In fact, very likeable, very likeable. I prefer this to the ubiquitous, all-round, greatest motorcycle ever made, the VFR 750 and 800, that all the press will have you believe is the best, the greatest all-rounder ever made. Nah, it's not. It's not. I don't believe it is anyway. I've not ridden any bike. I've got a friend who pretty much have. I've got a few friends who pretty much have ridden every bike. One of them's an ex-motorcycle journalist, so he's certainly put a few miles under his belt with various different bikes. And I think what the press say about the VFR range is not entirely true. I don't think it is the greatest all-round motorcycle ever made, and if it is the greatest all-round motorcycle ever made, I think that's because it does everything well, which is fine, but I don't think it does anything exceptionally well, and that's probably the ergonomics on the last bike that I had, that VFR, that's put me off them for good. I've got a bike behind us now, he's appeared. And speak of the devil, it's a VFR1300 by the look of it. So we'll try and clear this VFR1300 or a Triumph. I can't tell. VFR1300. Yeah, looks like a VFR1300. One of the Gen 6 ones, I think. First one with a cam chain. Ah! Might be able to do something with this Nissan now. Yeah, it's hanging on a bit, it's got a bit of mass. Bursting for a piss. Oh God. Ouch, ouch. Oh, there you go. There's the side stand down. That's not good. Got to get those sensors and switches fixed. I'm going to do that more than once. That's a lucky escape there. feeling a bit better after my wee-wee. Concentrate a bit better at least. Well, I might concentrate a lot more if I shut my mouth and actually concentrate on my riding instead of yapping away in a big logging truck. But you know, oh, there's the Nissan Note again. We've got to deal with him again. Tarmac's a little bit slimy and slippery, quite heavily worn on those corners. That's top gear, that's definitely top gear. There's a mook house, and there's the back up again, a bit of peace and quiet. Cattle grid? No. Okay. Elston, me boy there. Aye. Now then we can go past the Gibbet here. See if I can take us up past the Gibbet. I have to remember which way it is. I think it's over those hills there. Autobahn. Mormouth, I think it is that one. I think it's down here. I think it's this road. Witness Gibbet, yes it is. This is the lovely little village of Elston. It's very nice. And we'll go to Winter's Gibbet. Winter's Gibbet is a place where William Winter, his body was strung up after he was put to death for robbing and murdering a woman who I believe was coming back from possibly market or something like that. She'd been selling stuff and he literally murdered her for him and his two accomplices, some fella and a woman, I think. This is in, I think, the 17th century sometime, or late 16th, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, they murdered him, murdered this woman, and they were caught because a young lad saw them with some of her belongings, some of her possessions, and recognised them, and told the authorities, and they were arrested and sentenced, I think, in Newcastle. Anyway, his body was put in a gibbet up here and left to rot out in the weather, rain, shine, whatever. The birds pecked it to bits and it fell apart eventually till it was just his skull hanging there. Then they put up a wooden effigy of his skull, which remained there for many, many, many years. And then someone stole it, so it's out there somewhere. Then they put up another one a few years back, and I'm not sure if somebody stole that. Then somebody cut the gibbet down. Seems to be a thing in Northumberland. If you have anything of any historical worth, they'll hack it down for some godforsaken reason. A big old logging truck coming up there. You see those there? You see that there? That there. That is otter copse. I pull it across here. Those two towers there are the towers, the communications towers of some kind at otter copse. They run down there and they run down Wolf Crag, where them cars there. I don't know if you can see over there those cars, and there's Nelson turn off there, and that car's there. There's some great corners there on that road. I was chased from past around that corner there, way over that hillside. I was chased by a policeman, didn't know he was chasing us, all the way down past Otter Copse, all the way down to Wolf Crag, and he pulled me over there at that farmhouse and tried to do me for speeding. I got away with it because he didn't have enough proof. He was too far away. Anyway, back to William Winter and the gibbet. Willie Winter's gibbet, cut down. Now, we had a kind of auntie and uncle. They weren't an aunt and uncle, they were friends of the family. Because my dad used to work around here. He was a forestry commission worker, and as I've already mentioned earlier, I was born in this area. So we had a house at a place called Burness. Winter's gibbet's up there on this corner, and we used to go and visit them. And by this time we'd moved away from the area, but we'd still come and visit this farming couple on a farm just before the Carter Bar border between England and Scotland. And I was just a child, older brother and possibly younger sister would have been a baby, and I was complaining of toothache. Now there's an old myth that says that if you carve a splinter, or as we would call it up in Northumberland, a spelk, if you carve a spelk of wood from Winter's gibbet and press it on the affected tooth or gum, it's a cure for toothache. And I always remember, after crying on all day about my sore tooth, my dad brought the Austin Maxi up here with us in and said, "Howie, we'll go and cure your toothache," and got me out of the car. And no, I wouldn't go near the gibbet. It was a starry moonlit night, and I think I was about 7 or 8 year old. I thought, the hell with that, not a chance. But that's William's gibbet there. That's William Winter's gibbet. Get a better view of it from over here and see what it says on this plaque. Let's see. Stick the bike here. See what it says. Can I get me stand down on this grassy grass? Are you going to fall over? Yeah, you probably are. Let's get it down there. You'll be fine. Are you in gear? Yeah. Okay, let's go and see what Winter's gibbet says. In 1791, the body of William Winter was hung here in chains in sight of the place where he had murdered old Margaret Crozier of the Raw, Elsdon. The present gibbet was erected on the exact site of the original. I think that says a large block of stone at the foot of the gibbet is the base of the Saxon cross, which marked this highest point of this ancient Drovers Road, or Drove Road, down which the cattle were driven from Scotland to the English markets. A mile further east, a group of 4 trees marks the smithy, where the cattle were shod before reaching the metalled roads. Cattle shoes have been found on this site. I thought she was called Crozier. She is Margaret Crozier. He murdered her. There's the Saxon stone with the cross, the gibbet there. Yeah. And that road goes on for about 1.5 miles, and it is just straight. I took the lads along there on the Hayabusa one year, and we opened the taps up, and it was like being on the world's best roller coaster. Not like that now. Maybe I am a little bit. Yeah, I am. Let's have a little wander up, see if we can get a When I came up as a kid, there was the wooden head hanging on there, and it was the original wooden head, I believe, and that was stolen. That's what made it even more sinister, was the wooden head sitting there. There's the Saxon, the stone base for the Saxon cross. Yeah, the original wooden head hanging there was awful to a 7-year-old whose dad was going to carve a spelk off there. They put that wooden, that metal thing on there, I think, to stop people cutting it down again. Yeah. Margaret Crozier. As I understand, she died for a few pennies and some matches and some cloth. That was it. What a waste. Life up here not hard enough in those times without people like that taking what little you had from you. Well, I hope William Winter you did do it and you got what you just sod. I think justice then, back in those days, was rather swift and summary. You can't always say that the right person was caught at the time. So the light's on. Visibility is key. Okie dokie, let's go and have a little whiz along the Drove Road. God damn it, you're still not going in. Oh well. might have got the message a bit earlier. Apparently not. I was coming up and rather quickly though, I'll have to give her that. That's my fault, not hers. Now, can we go through Wallington Hall? I think we might be able to. Yes, I think Wallington might be right here. If we head to that way, let's see what it says. Hexham, Cambo. This road, 14th to the 16th of April. Netherton. Oh, yeah, okay. Right. No, it's not coming down. Get down, you swine. No, it's not doing it. More adjustment required, I think. Never mind. Just find the ointment. That might be a nice road to go through. We could turn around and do that one, I think. Or we could continue on here. Maybe the next right turn we'll take. Yes, it is this way. Okay. Another National Trust property. The bonny things, pheasants, but they're not the smartest tool in the box, or the sharpest tool, rather. Smartest tool. No, they could be a smart tool, shut up. Whatever, they're not very clever. Whatever, they're not very clever. And here we are at Wallington Hall, which I'm not going to go into, but you'll see a little snippet of it. Stop next to the Dragon's Heads around the corner here. go. That's Wallington Hall. There's a little bit of fun further down. There's an ornamental bridge that goes over the stream, and cars and bikes like to fly over it because it's a bit of a humpy back thing. It's quite an extreme ridge to it. I'm not going to do it on this. It is, I guess, what you class as a sweet jump. There it is. Our bridge up ahead. Do I go for it and nail this sucker? Get some big air? I don't think I'm gonna bother. Oops, a little bit. Tiny little tyre squeak as we got airborne. So yeah, the question can now be answered in the affirmative. Have you taken it off any sweet jumps yet? Yes, I have. Now what's in front of him? That's what's in front of him. You're stuck, aren't you, sheepses? Okay. Can you get back? Can you get in? There you go. New car? Yeah, they've got back through the fence now. Yeah, the mother's just, there's a part of the fence is broken like that. The fence has come down, but she came, smart for a sheep, she came along, found it, and she's jumped back in with her lambs. So, no worries. There she is. I think we'll take a 6342 to Hexham. Hexham there, we'll go that way, yeah. It's funny how it was kind of signalled us to the left rather than the right of the junction. Where's that go? Cape Eaton or Cap Eaton? Never heard of it. I probably have. Never been anywhere. Another day. Bavington. It's an interesting sounding place. Truck driver was kind enough to let me past, or at least made my passing a little bit easier. Would have passed him anyway. Forestry, I think, rather than National Trust. National Trust tend to be white, although I could be wrong. But I think there might be Forestry Commission. We'll nip past one of them. Or there could be Army, actually. I think that's a Forestry Commission one though. Maybe Army. Or maybe it's just a couple of farmers who've chosen olive drab as their colour of choice. West Woodburn. That's an interesting road, West Woodburn. I might go along that road actually. I think I'd like to travel West Woodburn Road. Yes, you know what? I am. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hook around here. So, after that little kind of bit of fun with the VFR, I think you can safely say that these front brakes are not up to the standard required of